So our first section is simplifying radicals. These are good to have memorized. These are perfect squares. So square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. Okay, and that's just knowing 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 5 is 25. This section, just in general math too, will go faster if you know these. You can still do it without knowing these. It's just going to take you longer. Okay, so simplifying a radical. A radical is a square root. That is another way to say square root. So those are kind of interchangeable. We say radical. It's this, square root. Okay, so we're simplifying. And when I say simplify, I mean no decimals. So if I put this in the calculator, I'm going to go to my Desmos graphing and square root of 8. This is our example. That's a decimal. That's not the answer. The answer is not 2.83. Okay, simplifying means we're taking out all of these perfect squares. So break down the radicand. You're like, what is the radicand? That's the number under the square root. So in our example here, the radicand is 8. Okay, we want to break that down into prime numbers. So let's do that. So 8, and I'm gonna, whenever I break one down, I use factor trees. So two numbers that multiply to 8 are 2 times 4. And we want these in prime numbers. So 2 is prime, meaning that the only two numbers that multiply to 2 are 1 and 2. And you could do that forever. But we're not going to do that. Nope. So we're just going to leave it as a prime number. But 4 is 2 times 2. So when we say break it down into prime numbers, 8 actually equals 2 times 2 times 2. And you can calculate that. You can use a calculator, but it's good to check that you broke it down all the way. Okay, step 2, find groups of identical numbers. Each group comes out of the radical as one number. So I'm going to rewrite my square root of 8, and instead of 8, I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2. And it says find identical numbers. These are all identical. Each group, so our group is 2 numbers because we're looking at perfect squares. So right here, 2 times 2 is right here. 2 times 2 is 2 squared. It equals 4. The square root of 4 is equal to 2. So it says it breaks out of the square root. We're really just taking the square root of 4, which equals 2. So the square root is gone. And then sometimes there's going to be a leftover number. And it's the one that doesn't have a pair. So this guy that's all alone is our leftover. And sometimes we're going to get lots of numbers outside and inside. Not on this example. All numbers outside the radical are multiplied. All numbers inside the radical are multiplied. This does not apply to this example, but you'll see some that do. So for our example, we have a 2 on the outside and a 2 on the inside. And once you have your answer, I want you to check your answer in Desmos. So we started with the square root of 8. We simplified it to 2 square roots of 2. See how those are the same? That means we got it correct.